But I'm saying a day has got to go from external to internal. You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing. If you don't have a 4.0, what you need to be doing is studying. Get off the phone. I'm sorry, I'm not available until the end of this year. No, I'm for real. You reached the right number, but you called me at the wrong time. Call me back January 1st.
I got some people live on Instagram listening in. We got people joining in now on the Barebow project. We're live with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Paul Donahue.
Yeah.
Did you Pauly, did you see the happen to see the photos that Marcel shared earlier today?
Yeah, I did. But the double take or
the double exposure. Yeah, you see the one with you and your
my
digit, your straight digit.
Yeah.
A good picture. It's a good picture, my guy. What?
Yeah.
Paul, how old are you?
80.
You're 80 years old.
Yep.
And
80
that's incredible. 80 years old. How long have you been shooting archery? We're just gonna dive right into it. How long have you been shooting archery, Pauly?
I never started shooting at a club until I was out of high school. That was like in 1961.
Okay.
I started shooting, but when we was kids, we was always fooling around with bows and arrows and stuff. But I never got my real bow until I was out of high school, and then I joined the Washington Archery Club. That was back in that would be probably in 1961. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Then after that, I've been shooting competitively ever since. It's just got in my blood.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Where are you from, Paul? I know you're from Pennsylvania, but just tell
Washington,
all of us.
PA. Washington, Pennsylvania. It's about 30 miles south of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Okay. There's a little stroke of irony there. My family is actually from Washington, PA.
Really?
Yeah. So hold on a second. I got some supporters, some Patreons joining the live feed. They're gonna join in. They won't be on video. They'll just be kind of listening in the background. They can chat with us and stuff. Mr. Jeff Little, one of our Patreon subscribers, he just joined our Zoom.
He's going to be a future. He's going to be a future barebower too.
Who's that?
Jeff Little.
Oh, do you know Jeff?
Yeah. We've been working it over here.
Oh, okay.
He's been doing it about a month now. You'll be seeing him. You'll be seeing him.
All right. I believe you. I believe you.
He'll be doing some shooting. Tell me,
he's coming along.
He'll get it done here in about a year, maybe.
Yeah. So are you telling me that you're coaching now a little bit, Paul? Is that what you're saying?
No, not really. He's just a friend of mine that we've shot from way, way back years and years ago. And then he went another route, but I stayed there. He went with guns and stuff like that. But now he's back in the bow, and he's going to be a future barebower. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure he is. He's got the stuff. He'll be there.
He's going to be all right. You at 80 years old, keep up and beat 95, 96% of the senior guys, and you keep coming back to Barebow and you're continually shooting the senior class. You're not shooting master class. Why is that?
Well, it actually happened. It wasn't intentional.
Oh, okay.
It was like shooting NFA all the time. And I thought, when I started shooting barebow and I was looking for barebow people, it was on USA Archery. I could find some there. So I joined USA Archery and I registered in a tournament, and I was reading down the thing and it said seniors. Well, in the NFA, seniors is the old people. Right, so I just clicked on seniors, and I found out later on when I got there, that was the young class. So I hadn't intended on it, but then I just stay here. I'm not going to flip flop around. I'm just going to stay there, and I enjoy it down there too. Well, I shouldn't say down there, be up there. I don't know which way it is, but I enjoy shooting in that class right there.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. I mean, you certainly you keep everyone on their heels, let alone beat the majority of everyone, myself included, as of late. Your shooting this year has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I know maybe the classic you didn't quite get the results that you wanted, but
No, I
Like,
had some problems down there this year. It had some
yeah,
physical problems that happened on the second day, but well, I'll tack that. I'll take care of that problem.
yeah,
So,
right. So yeah, I mean, so everything's relative. You can kind of deal with that and just move on with it. But I've watched you shoot. I've watched your FIDA scores and stuff like that, and I know what you're capable of. So, what is it at 80 years old at this point? Oh, maybe I'm a little, yeah, I'm getting a little ahead. We're gonna sit back on that. We're gonna table that conversation a little bit. I
okay.
want to talk about your archery beginnings. Okay. I want to talk about, like, you know, what discipline were you shooting? What bow did you have? I have a picture, and well, I'm on live feed right now. I'll probably use this picture as the title page for this podcast episode. And it's
Okay.
you with a shooting fingers, a long stabilizer, scope, and a compound.
Oh yeah, I did that for a
Uh,
long time.
yeah. So, like you said before, we started talking about it and got a little sidetracked. What you started shooting very young, got into high school, and then you started shooting at a club.
Yeah, after I got out of high school.
How did things go after that?
Ah, it's just the same, the same thing, trying to learn how to. Back in those days, there was nobody to show you how to shoot a bow and arrow. You just had to go and shoot and stuff like that. And just, it was like trying to duplicate things. There was no real technique, not like there is. Everybody knows, not everybody, just about everybody knows the technique to shoot now. But back in them days, there wasn't nothing like that. You just went out and shot and shot and shot and tried to get better and better and better through that technique. That was
Yeah.
the only way. But there was no real rock solid foundation in which to make your shot from back then. At least I
Right.
didn't have one. It was just practice, 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 and try to duplicate whatever stupid mistakes you were making and try to
Yeah.
go with them, if you're doing the same all the time.
When you shot, so that we're talking like when I got into the sport, which would be 80, I think 84 would be the first year I competed in anything. Compound with
Right?
finger, yeah, compound with fingers, a scope, some bow hunter, like compound with fingers was a thing. Release aids
Yeah.
weren't quite of the now at that point in time. You were already shooting compound up until that point. Do you feel like anything coming up through and shooting fingers? Some guys shot clickers on compound at that point in time.
That was my game. I
You
had to have
shot
a clicker
a
on
clicker?
compound.
All
That's
right,
the
so
biggest
you're
thing I missed when I went to Barebow. Was
that
that
bet.
clicker. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were shooting clickers on compound with long stabilizers and scopes back then, right?
And fingers. Yep.
And fingers,
Yeah,
right? So
actually, the compound limited class was exactly the same as the open class.
Yep.
You shot with fingers.
yeah,
Everything was the same.
yeah, and a lot of people,
Equipment.
that was a super popular class here in Pennsylvania, and
Yeah,
what was
time, yes.
in an organization that still exists, the PSAA, Pennsylvania State Archery Association. Like that's how I got myself. That's how I got started shooting and competing, was in that the same tournament still goes today. Are you going to shoot the state indoor this year?
Yeah.
You are.
Yep. I signed up. I'm figuring on it.
Yeah, I have not signed up yet, but I really need to. If I'm going to shoot it, it's a little up in the air. But that tournament is still happening to this day, which is just awesome that organization's still going. But I know, like, they've had their trials and tribulations too. But that class, that fingers compound, that class
used to be the class.
It was absolutely the class for sure.
And it just finally disappeared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the release aids. Yeah, release aids replaced the finger shooters for sure, or replaced shooting with fingers, I should say. But you got rid of the clicker, so
the Barebow did.
You didn't have to deal with that, and you then switched later on in life and went. How long did you switch and shoot Olympic recurve?
To Olympic recurve?
Yeah. Was that only a short stint?
What's that?
Was that short? Not.
Yeah, maybe 3 years I shot Olympic recurve. See, after the compound pairs went went south, nobody, I decided to look for something else. So I went to Olympic recurve, but I couldn't get that. I couldn't do very good up there. I wasn't doing very good or anything. Then actually, it was down at the Lancaster shoot. I'm up there shooting at Olympic recurve and stuff like that. And I'm looking down along there, and I hear all these guys down there hooping and hollering and carrying on and stuff like that. You hear those them Barebow people are doing that, I'm thinking, well, you know what? Maybe I should just go check that out. So that's what I did.
Oh,
Now
that's
where I
funny.
did the Barebow at.
So all those years, did you shoot compound before that? Was it compound release aid?
Oh, I shot compound and release
Up until like 2015-ish, maybe?
But I don't know what the years would have been.
Well, I know if you and I shot together at Lancaster in I think 2018.
That's when we went to Olympic recurve.
You were Olympic recurve then. I don't know how long you stayed Olympic recurve after that.
Not very long.
No, I didn't think so. So if you only shot Olympic recurve for like 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, somewhere ballpark 2015. So what I'm asking is like switching from fingers and compound to release aid compound. Is that all you shot from 2000, or anything before 2015? You're shooting everything, all compound, but release aid. Is that correct?
All compounds. Is either release or fingers. Yeah.
Okay.
Either one.
And what club are you currently shooting at now?
Falcon
like
Archery.
where? Who is
Falcon
it?
Archery Club. Falcon Archery Club.
Falcon Archery Club.
Yeah, Falcon Archers. It's like about a half an hour from my house.
Okay.
That's where I called you from the other day.
Yeah. When we figured out Zoom, right.
When you
Pauly was a Zoom virgin. And it took us about a half hour to get everything figured out. But so now he's a veteran. He's good to go.
Yeah, right.
Got it squared away. That's funny. Hey man, it's a sign of the times. I got an 80-year-old on Zoom, and we got it. You're hip, dude. You don't even know how cool you are to the rest of the Barebow community. So you switched to Olympic recurve. You shot that. What motivated you to shoot Olympic recurve, by the way? What was the reason? Just for the heck of it, or
for shooting Olympic recurve?
Yeah,
I was looking for something else after the compound fingers fizzled away. There was no competition or nothing. I think, well, yeah, I just picked one, and I picked Olympic recurve. I could have went to the release, but the release class is there's so much difference between Barebow and the release class. Like in the release class, you go up there and you miss an X, well, your game's just about done. But you can mess around doing Barebow, and you can get it cooking and get right back in the game again. You can shoot one arrow out of the target if you want. Well, not if you want, but
no, there's some truth to that. I mean, there's a few people that can get away with that for sure.
You could get hot. You can still be working against. Yeah, you'd be up in that competition level. Even if you miss an arrow, you have room. But if you shoot that,
if you're having a good day and you throw one, you can still do all right. Yeah, I think that's right. It's funny though, you're talking about like shooting at Lancaster and you're hearing like these people hooting and hollering and having a good time. That's exactly why I switched to Barebow. Well, sort of. Yeah, sort of. I mean, John Wirt
got me enticed into it.
Is listening to everybody having a good time.
Look at it, So it did.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I see them guys, and when I'm up there with the Olympic recurve, them guys are pretty dead not serious about everything, But down there, I seen them guys carrying on like that, and now I think you know what? Barebow people are serious, but they kind of have fun being serious, and they don't get all uptight and all that kind of dude stuff. They're kind of loose. They're a friendly bunch that I found out.
Yeah, they are. I think you're spot on. I remember shooting Olympic recurve with while John was shooting. John used to bust. Well, not that that's anything new. John used to bust my balls about him.
Yeah.
When I first switched back to Olympic recurve, like he would on a rough day for him, he was beating me. When I first switched back, it was like, I was shooting like I was shooting 550s. And then within probably 3 months, I was shooting 570s and touched 580s. And then like all of a sudden I was, you know, he wasn't there at that point in time. And then quickly it became, well, now you should switch to Barebow. But, you know, John Wirt was really the one who was like, John Demmer is the one who was like kind of introduced the idea. John Wirt was the one that I called and I was like, okay, John, can you explain this to me, this Barebow thing? You know, and it started with like a Samick Sage, and then it quickly turned into everything that you see now.
Yeah.
And I have to say the same sentiment. You see, like, for example, we go to Lancaster and Eric and Tracy Yost would be always would be shooting. And, you know, Tracy's running around giving high fives to everybody. You shoot an X, boom, high five. After every tournament, they're taking pictures. You know, it's just something about that. And I pray,
Yeah.
Pauly, that the Barebow community doesn't lose that
I
aspect.
do too.
It worries me a little bit. Do you feel the same way?
It's a good, yep, it's a good place to be, isn't it? It's a happy-go-lucky kind of thing. I like it.
It is.
So I do.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
that
afraid.
will attract other people too.
Yeah, I'm
So-
definitely afraid though that with the growth of Barebow, I mean, and you know what it's like in the Olympic recurve side, you know what it's like, how competitive the compound side is. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely afraid that with like the incredible influx of Barebow shooters that we've had over the last 4 years, I would say.
Yeah, there has been a
Being
lot.
someone who was involved in the pro staff side of compound, and you know, I shot pretty good scores, Olympic recurve shooter.
Yeah.
And it worries me that Barebow's going to develop these divides.
It's
You know,
possible, I
this
guess.
company,
I
this
hope it don't
company,
be.
yeah, this company or this company, or you know, just and we see some of it. We see some of the goofy stuff on social media, and I hope that it doesn't go that way, and that's myself included. You know, I hope that I can.
I kind of like that. I kind of like it where it is, so it does. And
Yeah,
I hope they don't make any more stuff on the bows than what there already is. I
yeah,
hope it don't go.
me
I
too.
need to say a little bit on the, I could say primitive, but it should say a little bit on that side of things.
Yeah,
So it should.
I think you need to have a little bit of a sense of humor to shoot Barebow competitively as well.
Yeah, it's a fun. Yeah, it's a fun deal. Yeah, I like it. I just like it.
I know you do. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, you became very popular unknowingly during last year's
Beyond my understanding.
during last year's classic. Hold on a second. When you said about how Barebow gave you a new want-to, and that
Yeah.
I think all of us can resonate with that in some ways, but at 80 years old, what does that mean in totality?
What meant to me, or what it does mean to me, it made me like I want to go practice all the time. I wanted to like search and find out as much about Barebow as I possibly could. I was always constantly watching people, whether they know that I was watching them or not, especially when I went to Lancaster at the Lancaster Academy. They hold them little shoots down there. One time John Demmer was down there, fortunately, and he wasn't shooting or anything, but that was probably my first or second Barebow shoot I ever went to. And I didn't really know him, but I know who he was, see, at that
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
I know that was who I was, and I went to school on him a few times, so I did, whether he knows it or not. But I did not only him, but there's a lot of other people too. So I did. And at them times I was like wanting to know. I was just like wanting to know everything I could possibly get, you know. So it did. I didn't really want to do that in other classes because it was, I don't know. But then that's what Barebow did. It made me want to get after it. It made me want to go.
That's
So
awesome.
it made me, yeah, it put some fire under my hind end. So that's about what it did. Put fire under my hind end. made me want to go get that and understand it. And because I said, I want to shoot like guys do,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
about it.
you had an opportunity to watch John, and did you ever talk to
Yeah,
John? Do you ever talk to John and ask him questions, or did you just sort of sit
no,
back and
I'm
observe?
too bashful to do that. And
Mm,
besides, I don't know if he wanted to be bothered. I know now it wouldn't have made any difference, but at that time I didn't know. And he said he's at a tournament, and I don't, he
yeah, he
might.
doesn't care.
I didn't, so I just didn't do that. I just learned what I could from looking around. So I did.
Right.
So I didn't. But I did only because I didn't know him then. I know who he was, and that was about all I know. So I didn't approach him like that because,
Yeah.
asking somebody questions while they're shooting a tournament, I don't, I wouldn't have did that. But I would now because I know it wouldn't bother. At least I feel it wouldn't
No,
bother
and
him
there's
now.
not.
It wouldn't.
Any
But back then I didn't
anybody
know.
anybody out there, yourself included, I'm sure, if somebody had a
Yeah,
question,
it
even
don't
during
matter
a
to me.
tournament or whatever,
Yep.
I think any of us would be more than willing to have that conversation, no matter what it is or when.
I'd
I
be
mean,
more than willing to
especially on the
talk to
practice
anybody.
ranges and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
Well,
But
so
I've
what are
been around
some?
some people
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
that
Paul.
didn't want to be. I've been around people who didn't want to be bothered with them kind of things. I'm shooting my
Yeah.
bow right now at a tournament. Don't bug me with that.
Yeah.
But I've been around that before, and I didn't. If I knowed him, I would have asked him.
Yeah.
But
Sure. Well, I
I didn't
guess
know him then.
that leads me to a question, and that I want to know, watching John and watching, Rich Barker and maybe some of the other shooters that we
Yeah,
would
there's
see
a good one to
often
watch too.
at Lancaster. What are the things that stood out to you that helped you develop to where you are currently as a barebow shooter? Because you're in the top 8 for indoor nationals this year. You had a great qualifying score for Lancaster Classic. You're
Yeah,
constantly
I did
probably
okay.
530 and above, 540 indoor. Like, what are some of the things that you watched in some other shooters that helped you develop that level of consistency that you currently have?
Well, most of all, when I see some of them guys shooting like that right there, I kind of try to think in my mind, what are they thinking of when they're trying to shoot that bow? And
Okay.
whether it is or not, that's what I kind of try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. And watch how they release. Like I could actually see them if they was like pulling through their shot or what and if they was creeping or stuff like that kind of stuff. And the good shooters, they don't creep, they pull through their shot. And I think okay, that's what worked really good is pulling through my shot all the time. So it did. That's and the other one too, I want to shoot as good as them guys do too, and that puts some fire into there too. That was my want to. I'd like to shoot as good as them guys. Them guys, me was shooting really good. That was really more than I'd ever touch,
Yeah. Well, you're probably this year you're hitting scores that you probably shot Olympic recurve. Maybe not quite as good as some of your Olympic recurve scores, but you're hitting those areas. What do you shoot in practice? I'm curious. You score rounds in practice?
No. When I
Never.
practice, I don't score. I only score my shot, how my shot execution is.
Okay.
I don't score. Now I know if I'm shooting 9s and 10s or something, I know if I'm having a good day or a bad day, that's where I score go, but I actually don't score it. I just focus on process of shooting my arrow when I practice. And that's how I do. Now, like where I'm going from arrow, that's going to be a test of what I've already studied. I got to go to shoots for a test. That's what I have to do.
Right. Yeah, you definitely have to shoot more.
That's a game I play with myself. Is go there and get a test.
You shoot a lot. I know you shoot a lot. How many?
Yeah, I do. I do shoot
how many
a lot.
days a week? How many arrows?
I keep track of my arrows. I probably shoot in the neighborhood of 90 probably all the time. I shoot more than 60. So I do. But and I generally when I'm shooting, I generally shoot probably 5 to 6 at an end. I do. don't just shoot
Okay.
3
Sure.
and
Yeah.
go pull. I generally 5 to 6. That's how I practice, so it is. And that way it gets my, I'm able to work a little bit longer when I go to shoot. So I do. I
Yeah.
don't get tired. It always seemed to happen that the 5 and the 6 one was the worst of my shots when I do that. But that's okay. For in the practice it was okay. But that's well below the, I only have to go 3 at a time. So I'm well above that.
Do you feel
But
like
but
that,
I don't keep score. So I
Pauly, do you
don't.
feel like not keeping score and just focusing on shooting like that single arrow as good as you can and measuring that arrow on that scale of 1 to 10 per se, or you're measuring how good that arrow was
Yep.
every time? Do you feel like that actually helps you with tournaments because
It's the
that's
best,
the
yes.
same thing that
Because-
you're focusing on at the tournament then
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, it definitely helps me because I can stay in my shot sequence. That's why I've got to practice my shot sequence. I call it by the numbers, but it's a shot sequence, and that really get away from me in tournaments. I have a pretty good battle right there within myself,
Oh yeah.
staying in the game that I know how to do. I like it's. I guess it has to do with the score. You want to perform when you go to them places that cause you to get out of your shot sequence and cause your downfall, actually. So
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
That's what it does to you. If
Yeah.
you would just stay, it's easy to say this, if you just stay in your shot sequence and concentrate on that only, and then that'll take care of where your arrow hits down range. If you only let it do it for you,
Yeah.
that's how but that's a pretty good battle I have right as being able to do that. So it is. But at practice, that's what I do. I only sort the way shot my arrow. I don't give it any score. I just say, I did that. That's how I want to do it. Okay, that one's good too. That kind of thing. Then
Oh, that's good.
then if I get any unexplained misses, that's what makes me more than anything else when I'm pressing. So it is. If I have an explained miss, I do a goofy or something, it goes out in a 7 or 8 or wherever it goes like that. That's okay. But when I shoot that I can't explain, then I get to looking at, am I going wrong here?
Yeah.
Don't understand that. That one probably bugs me more than anything else
Yeah.
when I'm practicing. I love that when I'm in the tournament, but
Yeah.
anyhow,
I
yeah,
know.
that's why I don't keep score when I practice. So I don't.
So can you explain what your actual shot sequence is then, if you don't mind, or do you think you can put
Oh,
words
I
to it?
don't care.
What are you thinking when you're stepping up to the line to the moment that the arrow is gone and you're moving on to the next one? Like
Well,
where?
Okay, my first shot sequence is hand position. That's what I get first. So it is. Then after that, I skip a few of them, which are really automatic. I don't do anything else until I get to my anchor. Then once I hit anchor, it's pull, 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 all the way through, pull, pull, pull. Then a marvelous thing happened in Barebow. It took the place of the anchor. Whenever the arrow, the point of the arrow gets comfortable, not necessarily on the bottom of the gold, in the gold, or it'll be in somewhere. My release will automatically happen, but
Yeah.
I have to be
Okay.
pulling all the way through that shot for that to work. Like, not pull up to it and just hold. It's pull all the way through and follow through, touch the back of your neck. And that's now to put that easy. Now I did a lot of jibber jamming around that in my hand position. Then I get to my anchor, which comes automatically.
Yep.
Then that's when the real game starts. Pull, and you feel yourself exploding in your not exploding, extending like in your shoulders, and you have command of the shot because you got a hold of it, and you're coming backwards, and that's that they're real comfortable fielding with that arrow gets on that dot, and the release just happens subconsciously. My hand's back and touches the back of my neck, and you can't ask for nothing no better.
Oh my God, it's such a good
That's
feeling.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it took me way too long to understand what that was. And you're right. Like there is no better feeling. Like when you put
That's beautiful.
when you put the point and the point just settles in the middle and you're just there. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You're
Then
like,
it's like,
I know that this arrow's going in the middle, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden it subconsciously just, the string just pulls through your fingers. You don't let go. It
Don't-
just pulls through your fingers. And you're like,
You try to.
boom. And then all of a sudden, like the bow arm doesn't move because there was
Yep.
no panic. There was no,
Yeah,
you were
it's
just
it's
aiming.
beautiful.
And that
It's
arrow,
just-
you
it's
see
just
that arrow.
it.
It's like everything happens in slow motion. It just goes
Yeah, you see it go
right
right,
to the
down
middle
there
of
and
the
go
target.
right in the middle of the pen.
And then
Yeah,
you know
I
what
know.
happens?
That's-
You get
It's
excited on the.
beautiful.
That's Barebow.
That's all it
That's
is.
Barebow on its good days. That's
Yeah,
what we want every
yeah,
arrow.
you're right. On good days.
The other Barebow is what is also occasionally known as a Demmer, and I'm as guilty, and
Yeah.
others have where they just, these crazy arrows happen and you don't understand. You do understand why, but you don't
Yeah.
understand how you allowed yourself to get into that mindset where you're just thinking about aiming too hard, you're thinking about score for some reason, or something distracted you,
Yeah.
and things go haywire.
If you get
So-
score out of mind and keep within your little sequence in your game, you'll come out way ahead of what you would if you keep that score. Keep scoring your mind, you're just going to do us good. Now,
That's
you
good stuff, man.
reach what you could have done.
Do you?
But that's easy to say, hard to do. Mhm.
That's 100%
Very
correct.
hard to do.
Pauly, did you, when you were up on the stage during the top 8 last year at the Classic?
I remember that very good. I'll never forget that.
So let's
As
talk
a
about
nervous person in the world.
it. Were you?
That was the most nervous any person I've ever gotten. I tell you what, after the third, maybe up there, maybe even after the second hit, I was standing there and my toes started going down in my shoes. And I got like a little scared because I don't know what's going to happen here next, you know. I didn't know if I was, totally mess everything up and shooting in the wall or something. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Were
Yeah, I
you,
was a
was
scared
your
dude up
shot
there.
sequence? Do you feel like your shot sequence still held its own, and you know,
Up
because
there, I tell you
didn't-
what, Frank,
go ahead,
my
tell me.
shot sequence, it didn't exist up there. If it hit, I was on automatic pilot, and if it was okay, it was okay. But up there, I couldn't even do it. No, I was so
You're just that nervous.
scared. Scared. There's other words about it. Scared.
You're scared.
So it
But
was.
you
just
think about it
I
though,
just
there's
got outta
nothing to
here.
be scared of.
Well, now, okay, now with that, but
Not
that was
now.
like, it was in my mind when I went up there, just let out of here without me screwing everything up. That's the only thing in mind. I just want to get out of there. I don't want to be
Oh.
up there. But the thing is, after I got off of there, which pretty quickly, I was thinking, I can do this again. I'll go right back up on there. I'll do this again now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your
Back up there
experience,
again.
once you get back up there, and I'm sure you will, your experience I think will be different. I don't think
Yep.
it will be
Well,
quite
I'll be
so
able to handle that.
nerve-wracking because you've gone through that, and I'm sure that you probably have a more bulletproof shot now than ever. And
Yeah, I'll be able to.
plus
do a little better, I'm sure.
and let's face it, like the Barebow community looks at like your experience at the Classic had a profound impact on a lot of people because I think there's a lot of old school shooters out there, Pauly, that don't shoot because they say they can't, or you
They
look
think
at
they're
guys
too
like
old.
you and Tim Strickland, for example, and there's a bunch of guys
No.
out there that are still hammering away
There's
later in their
no way they
career.
can.
Yeah.
There's no way none of them can
But
just
it
get
gives
up there.
hope. It gives hope to some others, like myself included. Like I'm not. You got some years on me, my friend. You got some years on me, but it gives me hope that I can continue to shoot. Just shoot.
Keep
I just
on shooting.
be happy if I could shoot, and at that age, and let alone be semi-competitive.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
glad of that. I didn't figure that, but I'm glad that that's
100%,
happy with that.
100%. You are a
Yeah.
national treasure of Barebow, my friend. You don't even know it.
Well, I didn't, like I said, I don't know why, but
It's
okay.
Man, you're just Paul, you're just so authentic. You are authentic, you are real. You're not affected by anything. You are who you are, and you shoot barebow because you love shooting barebow.
I do
And
love to
like
shoot bow.
you are what I wish kids getting into the sport. I wish it was a prerequisite that they would listen to you talk about why you shoot the bow.
Yeah,
And so that they don't get caught up in the sponsorships and the string
yeah.
company you shoot for, the bow that you have in your hand, or any of that. They don't get caught up in any of that. Just put a bow in your hand,
I don't do any of that at all.
go shoot it,
None,
and do it the
zero.
best you can. That's it.
Yep.
And your story, your entire career with a bow in your hand, in my opinion, resonates what archery is supposed to be about. And I just, that's why we're doing this podcast, Pauly.
Okay.
I'm not kidding, man. This is, in some ways, let me also say, you come from a generation that my father was in.
Yeah.
With
All
our
right. Yeah.
generation. Right. So it means something to me to have you on the podcast, knowing that you shot on the same shooting lines with my dad. So when I say that, that it's a different generation, and it's a generation that I was brought up in. So when I talk about archery, when I coach kids, when I coach adults, when I have those conversations about like the enthusiasm behind my words talking to someone, it means something to me knowing that you're still at 80 years old able to resonate that original feeling of why we shoot archery. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why it's important. And I don't get to have these conversations in any way.
Yeah.
with anyone, and you come from that era, and it means a lot
Just
to
this
me.
love of archery,
It's still just archery, So let's move on.
Okay.
What's your plans now for this summer then? What's your plans for outdoor? Are you going to shoot some field? You're going to shoot NFAA? You're going to what's on the works for Pauly D?
I basically, in the summertime, I can't do 3Ds. I can't, because my knees are bad. They won't let me get around the course, and if the high rounds, those are just about too, because that's too hard to walking on my knees. When I go to walk downhill, it puts a real big pain in my legs. But anyhow, I can do the 50-meter round, that 72-hour job thing there. I can do those, and all the target limits. So again, and that's my plan. What I'm going to do outdoors is just shoot, get ready and go shoot the nationals down there in Melbourne.
Yep.
And
so that's the plan. Stick with the 50-meter game for outdoor. And are you going to shoot the Eastern this year at Palmyra?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should go to every one of them guys I can get to, because that's where I really learn what's going on about shooting. What I need to do, what I need to really, really, really work on. That happens. You can go to shoots. So you got to go to shoots to know. Because I have a saying: if you only practice behind the barn, you only be good behind the barn. So that means you got to go out and shoots and get tested. It's just what you got to do.
So
you
true.
do, and that way you find out what you need to do to get better. You know what your problems are, and get those problems and work on them. But your problems may not show up behind the barn. But you go to the tournaments, and then you can find where you're at. You can find what you need to work on. Yeah. So you do. Generally, it's a whole bunch of things for me, but anyhow,
it is for all of us. It is for all of us.
But yeah, in the summertime here, I go to all them target tournaments I can reasonably get to.
Yeah.
And that's it. And try it as good as I can get at that. And it's like a challenge from within yourself. It's a challenge that's within yourself that keeps me fired up on that too, Try to do a little bit better than I did the time before. That kind of stuff that is good. Be good for me anyhow.
Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I'm right there with you. I think actually, and I was going to say, I'll keep you posted. I'm probably going to host at least one, if not two 50-meter opportunities this year. So still working on those details right now, trying to schedule tournaments in Pennsylvania around Palmyra, Lancaster, Pendle, all these you know, it's hard to sprinkle in a tournament here and there. So
Yeah. I mean,
John's all over me about it, and I really do want to do it. Yeah, an actual FIDA, Star FIDA.
Yeah, I'd like that. I'd like to come up here too. I'd like to get to all that I can get to. So I do. I have to do that. So I do.
Yeah,
That's what teaches me a lot. So it does.
Shooting in tournaments. Get to as many tournaments as you can. Is that what you're saying?
Go to them tournaments so you can
and people
you can find your flaws when you go to them tournaments.
Listening to this, Pauly, people listening to this, you've been competing for what? Let's see, high school, 80, 65 years, 60 years.
It'd be like 65 years, yeah.
65 years,
right.
And you're still to this day saying, go shoot as many tournaments as you can.
Yeah.
Don't worry about score.
That'll probably never change.
Yeah.
That I can't see why it would ever change. That's what you need to do.
I think we take that for granted.
Find out what you need to work. That's where you find out how good you are or how bad you are.
Yeah.
So it is.
Oh yeah, a tournament is a true test of where you're at as a shooter.
Yep.
100%.
That's a test.
Yep.
Yeah. No, all this practice, that's just like your homework and in your studies and that. And that's time. That's time for your midterm.
Everybody's a backyard champion.
Yeah, it's easy to do that out there. Yeah. Yeah, it's easy there.
Well, so what equipment are you shooting right now, Paul? What all of your equipment include?
Well, I got that Spigarelli riser. So I do EB25. That's the very one I picked out of the book for barebowing. As I was looking through the Lancaster book, what am I going to get here for a barebowing? And I seen that, and I reading about that. Sounds right. I can just get one of this. Besides, it came with a rest and a weight. I said, it had a ZT rest. That's a good rest, actually. It's the same. I know the only rest I ever shot off of that bow. So that's really, they come with their rest and come with the weight on. And I said, okay, let's give that bow a try. So I bought that, and I had some limbs, and then I upgraded my limbs after that. So I did. But anyhow, right now I got a Spigarelli riser, and I got them Hoyt Velos limbs on it, the bamboo core ones, which I like those. That's a pretty good limb for me.
Oh yeah.
So it is.
What poundage? What poundage are they?
36 pounds. Okay. 36 pounds indoor. That's the same thing I shoot outside. I don't change. I go for indoor, outdoors. The only thing I change is my arrow, and of course my tune.
Sure.
But in a tune, generally, all I have to do is just change my knocking point, because I really don't. I probably don't. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't spend much time tuning my bow. And all I do is get up there in my top of my garage up there. I have paper. I have every paper I need, and I just shoot through the paper till I shoot a nice hole, and then call that quits, and I go and shoot. So I do. Now, if I go out there and shoot, and if I get a bunch of why is a man missing? I don't understand them. Then I go back and retune something. But after that, that's all the tuning I do. Just tune myself after that. So
tune yourself.
Don't even bare shaft. A lot of people bare shaft like this. I don't even do that. Just shoot paper and get I probably only send. Probably right now. Probably if I took my bow right now and set it up for the outdoor, I'd probably spend about 10 minutes. I'd be ready to go.
Ready to go.
Tune them up. Yeah, I'd be ready. That's all. That's all it takes.
What tab are you shooting, and what arrows are you shooting?
Oh, I got a win tab. It's a win 60 with the index finger cut off of it. So I do.
Right. And yeah, because you're this way.
Yeah, I cut that off of it, and lets me. Well, I never planned to see that coming to barebow, but it worked out that. And anyhow, that seeing my finger out like that, long, probably 50 years ago, when we was shooting 3 or 4 field rounds a day, when we just doing finger. My index finger got so sore from pinching the notch. I said, and then guys wanted to keep on shooting. I did too, so I just my finger off the string, and that's how I get today. That's why my finger is not. That's why my forefinger is not on the string anymore. So it is because it would gut so. And I did that a few times, and man, you know what? This isn't bad. This isn't. this is not
Makes
too bad
sense.
at all. It releases pretty nice. And I did that ever since. So I did. Now getting to the Barebow situation, not like I get up around 50 meters.
Yeah.
If I were for tab it down on my middle finger, it's
Yeah.
only maybe a quarter inch, maybe 3/16 from below my knock. Now, if I'm shooting 3 fingers, that means I would have to bring my finger, you know, that's where my forefinger or where my index finger would be. Now, to get any higher, I would have to put my forefinger above there, and that would put me way too much. I'd have to aim low.
Yeah.
I have to put my arrow low, but this way it gave me more little definitions of getting closer to that knot.
Yeah.
So it was making the big jump to get above it, If you understand what I mean? When
Yeah.
I'm finger placement on the string.
Yep.
Yep. So but that worked out good for Bo because, well, it helped. But it was an accident too. Less. Yeah, that wasn't
And
fun.
what arrows are you shooting?
Outdoors, I shoot them pro comps.
Pro comps.
I forget what the size of they are now. I forgot what they were. But anyhow, that's why I shoot outdoors. Indoors, I just Easton 2014 is all I do. So with 120 grains up in the front, that's it. No, just the last week I put some 4-fletch on to try out, thinking that might cause me to miss less. Not miss as badly on my bad shots, but I can't say that worked out that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not convinced
2
either.
weeks, and I don't know if it did that. That's why I tried it, because I'm thinking, well, I shoot a bad, maybe these 4-fletch might keep that from whipping around so much, and maybe not miss as much, but I can't say that worked.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because it didn't make it any worse, so it didn't. Anyhow, that's really pretty simple.
It's cool though that even at 80 years young, you're still trying different things and thinking outside the box. And
I'll try something new in a heartbeat.
do you only shoot arrows at a target? Do you shoot blind bail? Do you do any drills or anything like that, or you just stand there and shoot away?
That's probably a good blank bail shooting is probably a good thing. But I used to do that occasionally, and this feels, wow, I'm shooting blank belt. Boy, this like so good. It's perfect. I can't. If I could shoot this like this shot is perfect, and I'll be doing that. I'll do it and be perfect outside of the target again, and maybe in about 15 or 20 minutes, I'll be having the same problems I had before. But so I just don't blank bail. I just fight through it. Look at a target without doing the blank bail thing.
I think that your mental approach is definitely beneficial to not have to do those things. Like your mental approach is so specific to like you're just rating the shot and every arrow, no matter what, no matter the environment, tournament or practice. Like, so I think it definitely works. Like if you can put yourself in that mental mindset every tournament and every arrow, I could see where there's definitely, I think there's still carryover. Like shooting blind bail for me is the way that I work on my release, like the mechanics of my release.
Yeah, it works so well though when you're blind bail.
Well, that's okay. Well, I guess what I'm saying is though, like I like to take the archery shot and break it into individual pieces. I want the bow arm to be its own thing. I want the release to be its own thing. And I want the aim to be its own thing. And I want to be able to say like, well, I can work on my release separately. I can work on my bow arm separately. I can work on the aim separately. And then like you with like kind of your mental approach to just put it in the middle, leave it there, and it goes when it goes. Well, when it does go, because I trained my release, I'll go back and I like to think that training my release, it gives it a better chance that it's going to be more repeatable. So I guess that's the way. And I'm calling that's my personal justification as a coach, because what's worked pretty well. But for somebody like yourself, like, you know, you're shooting 5 days a week, 60 to whatever arrows a day or whatever you manage to shoot, as long as you're shooting those arrows to the best of the best you're capable of, then you
Get
can't
quality rather than quantity.
Yep. There's a lot of people that resonate with that, quality over quantity. But quantity, shooting everyday arrows, that's quite a bit of quantity. Let's be honest. Not everybody does that. You can't shoot 2 days a week, and you know what you get out of 2 days a week? You get 2 days a week results. That's what you get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right, man. Well, I mean, I think we kind of covered it. I hope. We covered a ton, talked about a ton. I think it, like I said, man, like you don't know it, but you are a personality within Barebow that a lot of people need to know. And your story, in my opinion,
I don't know why, but I'm glad of that.
Because your story is inspirational. It's where a lot of us hope to be at our point in our lives, at your point in your life.
Maybe I'll get some of them old guys out there shoot a little bit.
I hope we do. I hope we do. I hope, and not just the guys, the women. Pull as many people into
a big deal too.
Yes.
Yeah. Women are doing Barebow. Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. Look at some of those scores of these ladies and these kids. Yeah. Erin Hyob, and she shot amazing this year for indoor nationals. I mean, almost made the top 8. Yeah. So and Chrissy and Fawn, and I know Claire's shooting again. I saw her she posted that she shot again finally. I'm so happy to see that Claire's shooting. My good buddy, my little buddy Claire. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm sure you'll probably be coming in when I'm getting done. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. And
I'll probably will have to get there an hour early or something anyway.
Yeah,
so I do. Yeah. Jeff. In fact, Jeff Little will be with me tomorrow. Actually, he's coming just to nose around and.
Is he not shooting?
Like I did.
Is he shooting? Not shooting?
No, he's not shooting.
Come on, Jeff.
No, he's working on it.
Got ya.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's working on it. He's doing it pretty good.
All right. Well, Paul, you hang out here. Hey, you hang out here for a second. I'm going to stop the live feed for everybody that's watching. And I want to talk to you for a little bit about some other stuff. Everybody who's watching, you know the routine. As this shuts down, you probably have till tomorrow sometime, and I'll probably take the live feed down, and you'll have to wait until I post the full version on YouTube. That being said, I have a couple guests here. They get to talk to Pauly privately if they so choose. I'm gonna let them answer some questions or ask some questions and stuff, or make some comments, and we'll go from there. There are some Patreon subscribers, so they get some, we'll call it special privileges. But anyway, stop the live feed, everybody out there. Pauly, say goodbye to everybody on the Facebook land, because they're all watching right now. And you hang out here. See you on the range. That's right. All right. Well, live feed people, we'll see you later.